The cash infusion comes at a crucial time for Rivian as it watches other EV startups go under. But VW also needs something out of this. Marketplace's Henry Epp, tell us more.
So, David, this deal is aimed at addressing shortcomings that each car company faces. Rivian needs cash, and Volkswagen needs better software. VW has plenty of cash. Rivian has much more advanced software. And so the two companies are teaming up to make software that'll be used in both of their lineups. VW stands to gain in that area because its software unit has run into a lot of quality issues in recent years. Computer glitches slowed down the rollout of its signature EV model a few years ago, so it's open to investing billions in Rivian in exchange for access to the young company's technology.
And Rivian, why is it so hard up?
Well, creating a car company from scratch, especially one that makes large electric trucks packed with digitally connected features, is really expensive. So, like a lot of startups, they've been losing money. And that's happening as the EV market goes through some growing pains. It surged in 2022 and 23, but while sales are growing, the growth rate has slowed way down this year. Drivers just haven't made the transition to electric as fast as car makers expected, and a lot of traditional car manufacturers have tapped the brakes on their EV plans. Rivian has seen its sales grow, but it's still losing thousands of dollars on each car it builds. So it's scaled back some ambitions, including pausing plans for a new factory in Georgia. But with a cash infusion from VW, it's hoping to avoid the fate of other EV startups like Fisker, which just filed for bankruptcy last week.
All right, Henry, thank you. Heavy rains across the Midwest this week caused rivers to rise and severely damaged a dam in Minnesota, about an hour and a half southwest of Minneapolis. The dam opened in 1910 when William Howard Taft was president and was known to be in need of overhaul. There are thousands of aging dams in this country. The American Society of Civil Engineers gives dams a D grade. Marketplace's Daniel Ackerman has more.
The federal government owns a few big, flashy dams you may have heard of. But Lori Spraggins, who heads the Association of State Dam Safety Officials, reminds us,
not all dams are Hoover Dam.
Over 90,000 in the U.S. aren't Hoover Dam, and most of them are privately owned by energy companies, farmers, even the Boy Scouts of America own dams.
So a lot of people who don't have the skill set to know how to take care of the dam.
There aren't many who do have that skill set relative to the need, says Del Shannon with the American Society of Civil Engineers.
There is no university program related to dam design or construction.
And anyway, fixing all those dams is expensive. Shoring up just the ones that could pose a risk to human life would cost $34 billion by one estimate. The Bipartisan Infrastructure Act provided a couple billion for dam maintenance.
It's a great first step. I'm really super excited and pleased about it.
But Shannon says in an era of climate change and heavier rainstorms, it's a drop in the dam bucket. I'm Daniel Ackerman for Marketplace.
S&P futures are up slightly. NASDAQ futures up 0.2%. Dow futures are down 0.1%. And here's a number, $4,446. The average cost of shipping a 40-foot container this morning, 3 times higher than this time last year, according to Freightos. You'll remember all the ships backed up at ports as the world emerged from the pandemic. This time, it's Iran-backed rebels in Yemen attacking ships in the Red Sea, changing routes and throwing shipping logistics out of whack.
Marketplace Morning Report is supported by Amazon Business. From small business to big enterprise and everything in between, Amazon Business helps simplify the supplies buying process. Amazon Business, your partner for smart business buying. And by Schwab. Schwab offers investors choices like full-service wealth management, self-directed investing options, and trading on Thinkorswim. More at schwab.com.
Now to a company with a huge subculture you may never have heard of. Webtoon Entertainment is set to start trading on the stock exchange tomorrow. Webtoon calls itself the world's largest web comic platform with more than 24 million creators posting work to the site. It's owned by the South Korean company Naver and has been around for about 2 decades. Marketplace's Stephanie Hughes reports on the market for these online comics.
As long as there's been an internet, cartoonists have been interested in using it to get their comics out to readers.
The problem was figuring out how to get people to pay for them.
Benjamin Wu studies comics. He's a communications and media professor at Carleton University. He says Webtoon's been successful at figuring out a business model. The company sells ads and it lets users pay to get early access to comics. It also has 2 production studios where it can adapt Webtoon hits for other media like television or film.
The media industries where, generally speaking, there's more money than in comic books.
Online comics reach a different audience than paper ones do. It's a younger group used to reading on screens. That includes 30-year-old Miles Green.
It's really convenient to just read it on your phone because of the way everything's formatted, just scrolling down, rather than flipping the page.
Green reads paper comics too, but likes that online ones are less expensive. He also draws his own digital comics under the handle Miles the Robot. One of his favorite webtoons is called My Giant Nerd Boyfriend. He likes that it's relatable, not about superhumans, but regular humans.
Just normal everyday situations like them just playing video games and like their trip to the store.
In comics, this genre is called slice of life. And Rob Selkowitz, author of the book Comic-Con and the Business of Pop Culture, says it's perfect for a digital comic versus a paper one.
Because you can't put a big action cover on things like that. And yet it's developing because of the community element of Webtoon and the ability to interact with the creators.
Webtoon also collects metrics about how well stories do with its audience, which skews slightly female. And Selkowitz says it makes sense that the company's going public now.
They really had an accelerated growth spurt during COVID when everybody was home and had a lot of time on their hands.
Webtoon does have competitors, other platforms it competes with for both users and creators. And Selkowitz says with a young audience, it can be hard to know what they'll be into in the near future.
Will next generation readers like the stuff that their older sisters liked? You never know.
One advantage the company has are those metrics. They share the data with artists who can use it to make their stories more fan-friendly. I'm Stephanie Hughes for Marketplace.
And in New York, I'm David Brancaccio. You're listening to the Marketplace Morning Report. From APM, American Public Media.